immortal, I'm about to be a savage. I see a lot of things that I want, I will have them. I got a new mindset that I just established. I'll march through the cold with the nails on the pavement. I'll shovel that coal just to get out the basement. My story will be told, helping others make changes. I'll be so bold, they will watch in amazement. Am I gonna face it? Am I gonna chase it? Am I gonna start over? I keep waiting. Time is limited, quickly fading. Get my mind right, it's my time to take it. Am I gonna face it? Am I gonna chase it? Am I gonna start over? I keep waiting. Time is limited, quickly fading. Get my mind right, it's my time to take it.
Hi everyone. Hello Matt. How are you?
Hey Shubham, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good too. So, hello everyone. Welcome to BulldogMatt. We have the Matt here, and we have a new guest, Rob. So maybe Matt will introduce about him.
Sure. Welcome to the show, Rob. For the audience or those of you who don't know, Rob, we met at my current and Rob's previous workplace at Cloudflare. Um, he worked there as an engineering manager for one of the best teams, and we became friends there. And since then, I think you had your own sort of like journey. We
Yeah.
kept in touch, and I wanted to invite you to the show to talk about your journey and discuss a couple of topics because they're really relevant to the channel. So thanks a lot for joining.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's great to have you here, Rob.
Thank you. Yeah. And so I just want to say thank you again. I think the thing that what I really appreciate about you, Matt, is like what you're doing with this channel. Like there are so many people, so many young men, I think, out there that are searching for some sort of voice in the mist that talks about what it is, what's good about being a guy, you know? And I think a lot of people, it's quite what's the word I'm looking for? It's a difficult world out there today for a young man. I think the society that we live in with social media, the way things have progressed now, like I think it's pretty bleak. And I want people to, I don't want to focus too much really on what I want to get out across in this conversation is like focusing on the positives. I don't want to spend time like talking about all the horrible things and all the terrible things that could possibly happen to you out there. It's like, it's going to happen to you. Life is going to stack up against you. All you can do is push back your best and forge your own path, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally agree. I also sort of have adopted a mindset that there are only so many things you can influence, and what you have the biggest control over, or should have ideally, is yourself and your response. And so I'm mainly doing this channel in order to help people get on the journey of self-development, hopefully arrive to a place where they're at peace with themselves, with their identity, understand more about what it means to be a man in today's society, and be happy and be a force for good.
100%. Be the best possible man you can be, right? And one of the things we were talking about earlier about is what kind of value men offer the world today. Like, look at history, man. You know, like men have built civilization since as long as we've known it, you know? And we're going to keep doing it. There's nothing going to stop us from doing that. And I think the only thing that can really hold young men back from today is a negative self-talk like this. Like you were saying, like if you have this narrative in your head of like, I'm never going to amount to anything. I don't know what to do with myself. You know, where do I fit in? And I think a lot of young men, if they look inwards, look at what value they provide to themselves. Like, I think just start from the very basics of like, you are here today. You've made it this far in life. Okay. Every man in your family before you had what it took to make it, right? And you're the
Yeah.
product today. Okay. So whatever it is you need to make it in this world, you've got it. You've got it inside you, right? You just need to understand and listen to that and have that as a kind of principle which can guide you. You've got the value inside you. You can build it yourself. You can grow it yourself, and no one can take it away from you. And that's I think one of the most important things.
I agree, and it's fundamental. I, on the other hand, want to add that it's it's of utmost importance, especially for men, to have some sort of a moral standard, have something they believe in, have a framework. I developed one for myself based on my culture, my upbringing, my martial arts. Um, the biggest addiction I have, which is good by today, is discipline. And I think that's a cornerstone for every man if they want to be successful. Because if you can't discipline yourself, you can't. I even, if you were to ask me how I define what it means to be a man, I would say someone who is not ruled or governed by circumstances, not ruled or governed by his emotions. You do have to understand your emotions, and I want to differentiate between feelings and emotions because we use it interchangeably, but they're not the same. Um, you can feel pain, you can feel emotional pain as well, but an emotion is a more complex thing. It's your thought process that is associated with the feeling you have. And it doesn't take any effort to put yourself down, to be depressed, to be scared. You do that automatically. But you become a man once you can recognize this, fall back to your values, fall back to your mindset, fall back to who am I deep down, what my morals are. And if you're grounded in yourself, then you'll get back up. You'll carry on, irrespective of what happens. And you might not even react in anger, irrespective of what kind of injustice has been done to you. You're just.
Keep on going, man.
That,
Never give up.
yeah, that's a. Well, I got all this. I was lucky because I got into martial arts really young, and the kind of martial arts I got into engraved that very mindset and mentality in us. So, yeah, I got it from the beginning, and I just
I think
learned
that's
to
important.
nurture it.
Yeah, because it helps, I think, to have a framework or like a group around you of people who are similarly minded. You were saying, I think, about like your environment and who you surround yourself with. It's like you've got to be mindful of that also. You know, if you're in an around people who are negative self-talking, who have this, you know, pessimistic view on the world, that's going to rub off on you. No matter how much you kind of, you know, disagree with it all or whatever, eventually over time, subconsciously, it's gonna leave an imprint on you. Yeah.
That hits a personal accord for me because, as I said, I do believe that my mom was a narcissistic abuser, and one of the even back then when I had no idea about this, I just knew that something was wrong. Sort of characterized her as there's so much negativity. She couldn't be happy about anything about or the success of anyone, and it just felt like that when you were around her, like a dementor, she just sucked that life energy out of you. Um,
Yep,
so,
I
and
empathize with
if
that.
any, yeah, I know.
Yeah, it
Um,
happens with
sorry.
everyone actually.
Yeah, but what I mean is, just following on Rob's lead here, is you need to protect yourself, and the best way to protect yourself from that is just uh, abandoning them or cutting any communication. As a matter of fact, if you take a look at any module or any help guide regarding narcissistic abuse, the first advice is that if you don't have shared custody of a kid or something like that, then cut off all communication, go cold turkey, and never look back.
Yeah,
Like,
full no contact.
yeah, and disengage, disattach, detach, off you go, because then they no longer have power over you. They
Mm,
can't um, poison your mind with all that negativity and bringing you back into an illusion.
exactly. And I think for me, it came from like this inner strength that if it's strong enough, nothing outside of you can affect you or like influence you if you don't want it to. Um, and the other thing I wanted to mention, just touch on briefly, is like investing. Like, and I'm not talking about money. Everyone hear that word, they're like, oh, markets, this, that. No, I mean, really, one of the things I think for me was if I could replay my life and go and rewind and say, give myself some advice. One of the big pieces of advice I would go back and give myself is like invest in yourself. Like spend time and money on working on who you are and you're improving your skills and abilities and talents to the point where they provide value to other people. Right?
That's a very sound advice, and I wish I, I wish I
Yeah.
have given that advice to myself, or you uh, gave that advice to myself when I
If I
was
get a time machine, I'm going to go
15.
back, Matty, and I'm going to tell you.
Please do, because I would be much better off had I actually invested in myself back then instead of playing video games or whatever for 24 hours, wasting wasting a lot of time in my teenage years. Not that it wasn't fun; it was good, but had I just spent a fraction of that time improving myself, I probably would have achieved way
But
more.
can I ask you a question, though, mate?
Sure.
Did you know back when those days when you were playing video games, did you know what it was you wanted to do? Like, had you
No,
found your purpose yet?
absolutely not. I
Okay.
had no clue. I had no guidance. All I knew is that it was fun. It was a safe place. I was among friends. It was a way to get away from home. Loved it.
Love it. Yeah.
So I'm not beating myself up over the head over this. It's just um, had I gotten, I don't know, a good friend or someone back then um, who showed me a way to, hey, it's quite interesting. This is how you can repair a car. I'm just making this up. I know that if I get interested in something, I'll just carry on grinding because I don't have
Yeah.
too many talents. The only talent I have is perseverance. So I just don't give up. I keep failing until I succeed.
That's it.
and but it got me really far, especially from where I started from. And yeah, if young men could find not necessarily their purpose, I highly doubt that I would have been able to find a higher calling or a purpose in my teenage years, in my 20s, heck, even in my 30s. Because for me, I had to walk through hell in several regards to eventually like got to a point where I understand. And because I wanted to get better, I kept on reading, kept on reading, kept on researching, and some things just clicked. But even though I received like, I remember first year into therapy, mind you, she was doing Freudian analysis, which it's very in depth. It does work, but it's like imagine having a server farm that is a clusterfuck, excuse my French, but like has all kinds of issues. And instead of trying to focus on, okay, um, this is the primary business need we need to serve. So in order to get that, we only need these elements of the system working fine. Let's focus on them quickly because we can fix it in 10 days and then at least we are at a reasonable level. Psychoanalysis goes like, no, 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 explore the entire thing, understand everything, get deep into the bottom. So it takes 10 to 20 years. And I don't have time for this. And
But
bless her, she even to some extent almost breached that line because in psychoanalysis you're not supposed to talk too much or push the patient too much to one direction or give answers because they should realize it themselves, which I fundamentally disagree with. Again, not because of ethics or anything else, but because people don't have 20 years to get better. um, she said something along those lines that that's great that you're doing karate, that's great that you're successful in your job, that's great that you're saving money, it's great that you're a good dad, it's great that you do this motorcycling and challenging yourself, but these are all external validation. What about anything internal? And that was a sound advice and I do appreciate it, but I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? I didn't have a clue because
Yeah.
um so
Was that though, do you think because you were just young and you didn't have that as like a priority? Like you weren't on your mission to find your purpose at that age, right? Would you say?
I I was just sucked into a moment in a sense that I was hurting. I was hurting a lot. Something needs to change, but I was lacking information. I was lacking context. I didn't I hadn't a clue how much my upbringing um
It was
damaged my
impacting you.
psyche and yeah.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm so happy to talk about it so openly right now is because that's a long journey and as I said I had to go through hell, but when you go through it you reach to a point where I no longer care about anyone else's opinion. I know who I am. I finally love and respect myself. These are my values. This is my core. Take
Mm.
it or leave it. And I'm happy to debate. I'm happy to be proven wrong. I'm happy to change my mind on things. But I'm not compromising on my values. I'm not compromising on my morals. And I'm ready to die for those. And I'm not
Mm.
saying it to be melodramatic. I'm just saying it as it is. Um, and at that point, I'm happy to talk about my vulnerabilities because I'm like, judge me. Do you think you can hurt me more than life has already hurt me? You're
Yeah.
kidding me? Like, um, so back then, the reason I was so um, clueless is because when you're raised by a narcissist, especially if you were raised by one, so it was one of your parents, they do something with their victims, even if you're just married to one or have a romantic relationship, which is they try to drag you into their world and then systematically take your defenses down so then they can implant themselves into your psyche. It's called a narcissistic interject. Now imagine that children, as they develop, uh, automatically they have something called a false self. It's called a false self because children identify at certain age with their parents in a way that they think that they are one.
Mm.
But if
They
one of
have
your
the same
parents is
shared identity, right?
yeah, but if one of your parents is a narcissist, they want to keep it that way.
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
um, and then because then they have full control over you. And the reason I was so clueless is because I did not have my own identity because I started rebelling. I started trying to grow up. But because I was clueless, I did not know what was going on. I was constantly hitting this wall of, but that's not me, and nobody sees me for who I am because I had a false self on the surface.
Mm.
The reason I was so people pleasing, the reason I was so, again, because that's what a narcissistic tyrant wants you to be.
Mm.
Compliant, obedient, good little puppets, usually a reflection of them. And it went to the extent that I was good at math, for example, and I enjoyed it. But that did not, it wasn't something my mom valued. I started, I don't know, reading poems and went to a couple of competition. And I did not like it that much, but I was trying. But because I won once, and my mom's fantasy was that she wanted to be an actress.
She was living vicariously through you.
Yes, so this was encouraged every single time I read poems and especially did act in front of an audience. I received the reward. All of a sudden, I could feel loved and accepted by my mom. So I tried to comply as every child would. At the same time, even though I loved physics, I was a boy, so I was more interested in things. But that was really discouraged. And that's just one element. Or I wanted to do wrestling, and then they denied parental consent. And the way I got into martial arts was because my cousin basically went behind my mom's back and just, you know, put me into a class. But you get the idea. So
Yeah.
um, I was clueless, and the reason I no longer beat myself up over it because, fuck, well, are you going to hold a child accountable for not knowing what I know now? Come on.
Mm. Yeah, exactly. And the other question I was going to ask you is do you remember when like your first like from what I'm understanding of what you were just saying, like a lot of your achievements when you were growing up were like pseudo achievements. Like
Yep.
you were pushed into something, and like if you succeeded, it wasn't seen as your success; it was seen as parents, like in this
Yep.
case, your mum's. But do you remember for yourself, like when was like, or I don't know if maybe you have a memory of this. I personally do, but I'm just curious if others do. Like when you achieved something like for yourself, like as an adult, like is there something that stands out to you? Is like, I found my value in this.
Yes, surprisingly, it came from martial arts, and it was a very
Nice.
tiny little thing. Um, when I managed to do the first knuckle press up on my own, I was really proud of myself. And it's,
I've heard of these. What are they? Are these like where you're full on knuckles to the ground and you're pushing up like that, or is it like that?
I'll demonstrate if I can.
Uh, YouTube's in for a treat today. Look at this.
I won't be able to. I won't be able to give an audio commentary in the meantime, but I will explain.
Okay. All right. We'll give the commentary.
Yep.
Here we go. Okay. With this part of your hand. Okay. Right. So it's like a regular. Uh-huh. Right. Oof. I can do flat palms. I'll wait for him to put his headset back on. That looks
Is it that?
pretty.
Yep. He'll tell us maybe.
Yeah.
Sorry. So that's a knuckle press up. We call it a
Got ya.
canto.
Right. I was just saying, I can do a flat hand one, like, but that's something new. I'm going to have to. That's a challenge I'm setting myself. Anyway, I interrupted you. Carry on.
No, all good, all good.
Yeah.
No, because when I first joined Kyokushin, I couldn't do one. Then later on, I got a little bit stronger, but and a little bit better. But because martial arts sort of started strengthening my ego and identity, I started pushing back and drew my first boundary by defending myself so they could no longer physically abuse me at home. So after that, they took away the martial arts, surprisingly. But I went back, and that was something I was doing solely for myself, and I was really, really proud of it.
I think it's those moments that can really like change or give strength to your character, you know, and help like strengthen the ego and everything like that. I think if the more things that you can measure yourself, that you don't require an objective validation from somebody else, for instance, but you can like, you know, I don't know whether it is a personal achievement, like you said, or whether it's something you get, I don't know, a certification or you've got a qualification or, you know, something that adds value to yourself that I've invested this, I've spent the time doing the martial arts of what you've done, you know, and it's, nobody can take that achievement away from you, you know, and just keep doing those things and your life will just, you'll start to, that testosterone will start to kick in as, you know, that all that reward mechanism, the dopamine, the serotonin, all of that stuff.
The second achievement like this, much to the upset of both my parents, so my stepfather and my mom, was that before high school, my English teacher recommended me to try to attempt passing an intermediate level language exam, which is for non-native speakers of English, it's like IELTS level 7 or something like that. So it's not, you're not, it's not really fully proficient, but it basically means that you're fluent already in a language. You can, you have good command of it, and you would be able to study on that language. And I still remember my stepdad saying that you can't hold a good enough command of Hungarian, let alone English, so I'm not going to pay for this. My mom was sort of like, yeah, you're not good enough. And I couldn't even understand. I was really sad. And then my grandma heard this and she was like, you know what, I'm going to pay for it. And I don't even care if you fail. I do want you to try. And I
Yep.
paused. And that was so fulfilling and rewarding because I proved them fucking wrong. Excuse me.
Yes.
It feels so
And
good.
you can imagine, especially because I was 14, so that's the puberty age when you're really um, trying to challenge your parents, and um, especially if you were that suppressed. That's not something. So it's not something like I did not steal a car. It's not a negative thing, and they did not have an out from this. I did it. I proved you wrong. I am good enough.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kind of
So
little rebel mate.
yeah. Nah. What was your moment, Rob? If you don't have to
Yeah.
share, if you don't want to.
No, of course I don't mind. It was well, I was in my 20s. I don't want to say how long ago that was, but I was in my 20s and I was traveling around the world a
Last
little
year.
bit. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Just a couple of years ago. And I was seeing the world and I was kind of, it was opening my eyes. I think the other thing as well, like if you can invest in travel, experiencing new cultures, like that's just so enriching, like for the soul, to see how other people do things, and to immerse yourself in another culture, and live it and breathe it. You cannot put a price on that. It is just intangibly worth. Oh, it's brilliant. Anyway, I was in my 20s. I was traveling around, and I went to visit a family member in Australia, and just so happened to come across. I was like looking at I was taking a break between careers, like jobs at the time. I was thinking about what I wanted to do next. And I'll mention in a sec about planning, having a plan. But I found a job, and I was like, actually, that's quite interesting. It was a kind of sysadmin type job, and it was in my early days of being in the tech industry. I'd only just kind of like got into it. I was still dabbling into it, and the job required a certification, and I was like, I really want this job, like, because it looks like it would just perfectly match what I wanted to do. It was for a great company. It would be a brilliant career move. But this thing was in my way, this certification. And I didn't have much money at the time. I was still bartending, I think, at the time. And I knew that even if I didn't get this job because, not having the certification, I knew even if I just did the certification and I had that for myself, that by itself was just going to unlock so many doors. Like that was going to be very valuable. It was, I'm trying to think of a word to describe what I mean. Like it's a tool in your tool chain that you're going to come back to over and again.
I
So,
know exactly what you mean. In IT, it makes a lot of sense.
But I think going in languages as well, any industry really.
What really helped me, and I don't even know how I got into this drive, but I had like shitty jobs and I was running from home and had a fallout and my life was running astray, really. And I started working for a multinational company as a remote desktop support technician. But I put in the kind of work ethic that everybody thought that I was manic.
I think my internet's gone.
And oh dear. No, you're good. It's just a bit lagging. And I outworked everyone, but to the extent that they were measuring a lot of things like how many calls did you resolve, how many cases did you resolve, whatever. And my productivity was over 200%. So, because I was multitasking, I was constantly like it's one thing.
Having
that
worked with you,
really
Matt, I
touched
believe
me.
that. I can totally believe that.
I just had this. I have to be the best at this, and I was just really. I had this drive again because all of a sudden I found a place where if you achieve, nobody can take it away from you, and you're not being challenged and lied about your achievements, and so it makes sense because it will pay off. So I had a conversation with my manager, and she was like, "We really appreciate your work and everything, and we can offer you a 10% raise." And I smiled, and it was like, "I I would love that." However, I was thinking about, would you instead enroll me to a Microsoft program and provide me education? And they were like, "Oh, I need to think about it." Next day she comes back and she was like, "Yeah, but then you don't get the salary bump, but and you also have to sign up for 2 years that you won't quit." Without a blink of an eye, I just signed it because I knew that's the investment in yourself. After that, I got into remote systems management, did the MCSA, and then I got an opportunity which was higher at another multinational company, got into process management. Same thing, high work ethic, and then I started learning project management. So all my career and everything followed this path of just learn more, keep on grinding, keep on investing in yourself. And I blinked twice, and I was traveling all around Europe. And I had a dream to come to England and become a British citizen. It was a silly one, but I was 7 years old, and we started learning English at schools, and I loved the double decker. And as but as you can imagine, the way how England is pictured in books, and it was very romantic about pragmatism, rule of law, classical liberal values, and everything. I was just like, as a kid with big glowing eyes, I have to get there. That's paradise because it was
So
an idealized picture, but ultimately I got my dream because as I was progressing with my career, I got headhunted then again, and ultimately I was offered relocation to London with a very generous package and a promotion, and they sort of rolled out the red carpet because they even provided accommodation for 3 months, which in London, if you're a newcomer, is
That's a big plus.
yeah, which enabled me to save enough money to then put the down payment on rent. So,
Nice.
but yeah, that's why this invest in yourself, and that's it's amazing. And had I started it, let's say when I was 14, I might have achieved even more. Not that
Mm.
I don't have regrets. I'm quite happy. As a matter of fact, I arrived to a place where I'm content and really happy now. I still have a lot of drive, but now I have sort of like a stepfather figure, Senpai Victor. He's one of my Kyokushin trainers, and bless his soul, he really does care about me, and he's worried about me a lot. And he's like, "Mate, you always see the good in people, and you trust too easy." And I smiled, and I was like, "I know, and I like it that way, and I know that makes me vulnerable, and I know I might get hurt, but I don't care."
Nice. I like that.
yeah, By the way, like it is like kind of the best life advice that anyone can give to people like us or maybe the younger ones, because like I'm into tech as well now. I have those things that you guys have learned, and that's kind of the best part or best thing that I'm taking from Marta and you guys, that I'm learning the things that you already have. So I don't have to go through the same 20 years journey and realize that after 20 years, so I'm getting that knowledge now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. And there's another thing I wanted to mention, and that's you sort of, I think happiness and your mindset is really just down to what you want to see. Because when we met, we really had this kind of connection with you, Rob, and started working on things together, ironing things out, and I was just happy because from day one you sort of welcomed me there and like, okay, no, that's a good idea. Let me help you with this. Let me help you with that. Your entire team was absolutely amazing. They were really supportive. And yeah, in every workplace, there are people who are less nice. I don't want to spend too much time about them, but uh, I, inst- I could have focused on, yeah, there's this XYZ, and we couldn't roll out this process that fast and this program that fast because he or she might have intervened and threw a couple of roadblocks ahead. But instead, my take home was like, what an amazing place. I have all these good people and everyone wants to help and make things better. And I just bring a little bit of my knowledge into how to organize this, and people pick it up, and actually we can run faster than I would even anticipated. And this gives such a good attitude. But if you focus on, we got held up on this, who the
Mm.
heck cares? We will work around it, but where everything else, we are really hitting it home. Focus on that, celebrate it. We'll get through this as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's,
Absolutely. It's I think one of the keeping a positive attitude, like you're gonna come across problems, you're gonna fail, you're gonna get down in the dumps, you're gonna get beaten when you're down, but always get up again. Always get up again. Because that feeling that you get that is purely from within. And I was really lucky actually. My mum was like, she was quite, I don't know what the right word would it be, but I suppose spiritual, religious. She was a strong believer in God, and she raised me in, and my dad was similar. Like both of them raised me with this Christian belief system, and I think that stood me in a really great shape because that does it. I think religion for me, it's a lot of dogma, a lot of like old ways of thinking and so on. It's important, don't get me wrong, but I think the value of something, of having an awareness that there is a greater being that loves you, that wants the best for you, and that is something that's always there for you. If you accept that and understand that, and you actually live with it in your mind and in your heart, it just takes so much of the weight off your shoulders. It's like, it's not all on me. It is, but it isn't,
um, there are, I see a lot of connections between psychology, especially um, inner child work or self parenting, my own experience, and the religious aspect. I I grew up as a Catholic, but not. My mom and my stepdad, they were vehemently against religion and the church. My sister, on the other hand, her way of rebelling against my mom was that she's a devout Catholic. Like really, she works for the church. Um, yeah, and I do have. I've reached a point where I had a moral breakdown, and I got to a point where I fell out with Catholicism because my marriage broke down. I felt like I've done everything in my power to repair it. I don't hold any grudges against my ex-wife. I think she's a wonderful mom and a wonderful woman. I think we did our best, and it didn't work out, and we managed to repair the relationship in a sense that we're co-parenting and we're really strong as a team, as family, but we can't work together as husband and wife. And I accepted this. But if you're Catholic, that's marriage is a sacrament, and I should just live on my own. And you can pray, you can ask for absolution, but that's not something I can confess, because then I would have committed an even graver sin, because you can only get absolution from a sin. You can only confess a sin that weighs heavy on you and you believe in your conscience that you're guilty, and I don't. And with the kind of super ego I have, if I don't feel guilty, I tend to be like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, but it doesn't. But I never stopped believing in God. And there's I saw a couple of symbolism after the fact, because in the first episode I talked about this sort of like vision I had after this very painful memory came out, and then I saw a child that was trying to just protect himself and was crying, and I went there and started comforting him and told him that I will always be there for you. And I realized that I was just sort of like projecting my own self and my own inner child. And then I started developing a self-parenting thing. But I sort of saw a light coming into me. And if you read the Bible, read Revelations, there are a lot of very similar episodes there. And God's presence comes as light. Later on, when I was writing my journal, I wrote something down that my real father's super empath power is now with me. I can feel his light. But if you, again, read the scripture, they refer to God as Father.
The Heavenly Father.
And so, anyway, people might think I'm nuts, and maybe I am, but I'm happy being a little bit nuts. And
Me too, man. It's happy. It's a good life.
And so I have this view on religion now that I have a very deep faith in God and good.
Mm.
But my faith is inconsistent with any church at the moment.
I subscribe to a similar view. I think what I mentioned earlier about dogma, I find that to be particularly true in Catholicism. I think the values and the overall morality of Christianity is something I very much resonate with, and that I
agree.
Yeah, I want to adhere to.
Well, like in every religion we have separate things, but in Hinduism, as we say, like you are the God itself, kind of.
Yeah.
Like everything comes from you, for you, or like everything you can do anything, right? That's
Yes.
kind of the base thing. And if you're thinking that you are doing good for yourself, then you are the best.
Mhm.
Right.
That makes sense. I could go on for hours again from a psychological perspective on anxious and avoidant attachment styles. And when I walked away from that relationship, I experienced the death of ego. And in Buddhism, there's a reference of the
Yep.
death of ego. And but the psychological element of it is the death of the false self.
Yep. Sure, Matt.
So
Sure, Matt and Rob. We have the new topic here, right? That we will be continuing in the next part.
okay,
So we'll be having Rob with us again. And yep. Thank you, everyone. Like, share, subscribe.
thank you.
Yep.
Awesome.
Thank you, Matt.
Nice.
Thanks,
Thanks, Robin.
Rob.
Thanks, Robin.
See
No
you.
worries.
Bye.
That was
See you.
awesome.
Yep.
All right.
Pain I felt is paid for, all is said and done.